There's already people here. Hello. Okay, I need to make the chat bigger. Okay, the chat's bigger. There we go. Hello, guys. So I'm not, I didn't announce this, I'm just streaming for fun. I'm gonna load some ammo, talk to whoever shows up. So I'll delete the video if it's not interesting, so if you're watching it now, it must have been interesting. We didn't select the beta testers for V4. We have picked the 10 random people from the live stream last week though. Okay. This time, I have some beer. I'm much more prepared. So, I'm gonna load some ammo, I can answer questions, I can talk about anything related to shooting or my products, my business, anything I'm interested in. Oh, where's my primer thingy? Oh, here it is. Did I change any parts on the prototype? I did. I designed a shell for the back of the scale for the connector. So it's got stress relief and it's nice and compact and it's 3D printed, so we don't have to buy anything expensive. It was really nice. I spent a couple days on it. I did actually bring it. I'll get it in a minute. How to have an F-class match on one shot marker. Pair firing or single string? Or do you mean by mini F-class, you mean at short range? Or what distance? It is Canadian beer. It's from PEI, Prince Edward Island.
How would you hold a mini F-class match with your friends?
I'm not really sure what he means. I just hold F-class matches, so.
What'd you do for your PRS matches? Did everybody take turns shooting on the shot marker?
We don't.
Didn't you do one match with the shot marker for PRS?
Yeah, so that was like a PRS intro sort of day, and so we shot from barricades and ladders and laying down on a rooftop, that sort of thing, but using shot marker on a black circle hit or miss sort of scoring target. So it was kind of cool. I have a Springfield 1903 that I used for that, which is really fun. I really like that excuse to get that gun out and use it. It was mostly at 300 meters. Okay, so these ones are gonna go in this box, and then these ones are the same. So I'll just, I think I'll prime the other tray. Keep these ones together. Oh, these are primed. Right, I primed these last week. So I've got these ones, Federal, these ones are CCI, and these ones are CCI. Okay, so I just need to put these ones in the tray. Hurdles to start making the V4. Ordering parts, machining the housings. There's not too many design issues left, really. I have to do some changes to the app. I've been procrastinating that because I know it's going to be fairly easy, so I can do it later. The main thing is just getting the materials in for the housings and the tubes. And then we're going to make probably 30. Depends on a couple of things, but we'll probably do about 30. So then 10 will go to the random people from the last live stream, and then we'll pick 20 other people for the first betas. And then most likely we're going to do another 50 after that, before we get right into full-on production. Take turns shooting. So if you're talking about Bisley style shooting, like pair firing, then you can shoot on the shot marker like that. So you just set the shot marker into recent mode or delayed mode. So it'll only show one shot at a time. So it's sort of like manual targets. So like one person shoots, and then you get one shot, and then the other person can score, and then 20 seconds later, the other person shoots. The first shot will disappear, and you'll just have the second shot. So that's what we do every week when we shoot our full bore matches. I think I'm actually done with primers. I thought I had more to prime. So I'm probably going to load, I'll load all these first. So now I've got to put all these primers back, which is always fun. Can't see, 300 yards so we can see each other's target. Like it would swap shooter every shot, can't see each other's shot. Okay, no, you can't do that. You can't have it where you're seeing every second shot, because the system doesn't know which one's yours and which one's theirs. If it tried to guess which one's yours and which one's theirs, it would be pretty easy to get it messed up, like if somebody crossfired or missed the target or something. And I've done that before, and it doesn't really work very well for F class. So it's better off to have one shot at a time and you score for each other. Let me see about putting the primers back in here. How'd the match go last weekend? It was good. It was actually the hardest one so far this year. It came down to the last match. So we shot at 300, 500, and 600. And at 300, well, the week before I shot a perfect score. So my first shot on score at 300 was a 4, well, a 9 in American speak, but it's a 4 here. So I lost a point on the first shot, and I was like, okay, it's not going to be a perfect score this week. I ended up in the second place after 3 and 5. So at 600 I was down 1 point, and I was shooting with my friend who I shoot with, and the two of us are usually first and second, and I was 1 point back, and we were shooting together because we got squatted by score, so it was the two of us. And the first, trying to think what happened. I was down a point, and then I think on my third shot, I got a 3 out of nowhere. So the wind was tricky, but I had a pretty good handle on it, and I was at like 2 minutes right, and it was like 1.5 to 2 minutes right. And then all of a sudden I got a 3, which required a half. So it was like, and a 3 is like an 8 for you guys. So it was very surprising, and of course Gord, who I was shooting with, could see that, and he was now up 3 points, and I thought it was over. But it was a 10-shot match. But after about 4 or 5 shots, I could tell that he had kind of lost the wind, and I was still on top of it, and I just focused, and he got 3 4s in a row because he was bouncing left and right and left. So I caught back up, and I ended up winning by Vs. It was 6 Vs. So my final score was 143 and 16, and his final score was 143 and 11, and it was 143 out of 150. So we both dropped 7 points for the day, and 3 of them were on the last match. So it was really good. So I held up my undefeated so far record this year. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this guy around. I got Varget in here, so I gotta get that out. I haven't done this in a week, so I need to remember how. All right. I actually haven't touched this since last Friday. I've just been working on new designs, but I haven't needed the actual prototype, so it's just been here. I don't think this will be 5 hours, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm empty. I'm totally empty. Now I can dump the bucket. Oh, I got some in the cup. Let's see here. Ordered a V3 last week's shipping. Yeah, 2 months. Laura, what have we shipped up to for V3?
I don't want to say.
Is it bad?
April 16th, I think. Our shipment today didn't get out, so early next week. We're probably shipping more on Monday,
Yeah,
but right now, as of today, it's April 16th.
So that's May, June. That's 2 months.
We're not more than 10 weeks.
I really don't like to be 10 weeks behind. If we're 8 weeks, I'm not upset. If we're 10 weeks, I start to get upset.
My goal is 6 weeks.
This is the first inch. I just started, so we didn't miss anything. Okay, so I'm not using Varget, so get rid of that. I've got N150. This is what I'm loading for tomorrow. Guess I can put it in first. I never thought about that before. Might as well, a little bit easier. Oh, before I put this on, I was gonna put the screws back in the electronics that I took out for you guys. Need that screwdriver. Laura, can you grab the DB9 from the, it's in the cardboard box part in the back of my laptop bag. It's right underneath you. So, this is the new shell for the scale. So the way this works, instead of this, we have this. We don't need to do a close up, it's okay. So this, but basically this goes in the scale like this. And then there's screws that are captive and they stay in here. And then I can use an Allen key. I don't have one, but I can tighten it in. I can't use this one because these sockets are actually too big, so it won't work. But the shell for the DB9 is great. So the idea is that this is permanent. So you'll, not permanent, semi-permanent. So you'll plug it in your scale and you'll screw it in. and you could leave it there forever. And then if you want to disconnect it before, you can just unplug it here. So it doesn't hurt anything to have it plugged in all the time. And what I was going for here was, since it's screwed into the scale is rock solid, and there's stress relief on the wires, so if you yank on this, you're just putting all the force into the connector in the scale, which is attached to the scale housing, so it's pretty strong. So you can't really break anything by pulling it accidentally. And it can be screwed in, and oh yeah, it's compact this way. So if you want to push your scale up against the back wall, it's as tight as it can be right here. Also, I take my scale in the car, and I don't like having the electronics plugged in when this is in the back seat because I'm worried that the scale is going to hit something. So with this, I won't have to. I can put it right up against the back seat. That's kind of the idea. Basically, I was trying to just make the smallest shell I could with a 90-degree bend with strain relief for the wires. And also for the small percentage of people that need a jumper wire, we have that integrated right in here, which is kind of a cool requirement. So I didn't have to make a separate cable or worry about doing a lot of extra work for the few people who needed the jumper wire. So that's that. That was this week's project. Oh, and also, if anybody is excited about the lights, I'm trying. I've ordered some lights, and I figured out how to put them on the board, and I'm going to build, as soon as they come in a couple of days, hopefully Monday, I'll have a prototype of the lights, and then I can do the code and see what it's like. I'm not sure yet if, I ordered basically the brightest lights that DigiKey had that were 3mm, so if they're not bright enough, it can't be done. They're super bright. There we go. Okay, so let's get this guy straightened out. Okay, windows in place, and we're open. I wonder if I can show the scale while I load. Do you think that's possible? Can you see it live on the phone? If we turn this because it's clear, so I can see the powder. So I might be able to do it like this. Think you can read the number?
Maybe. You could pull the cup out from the side.
This panel here?
Yeah.
No, because I need it in the front anyway, because of the position of the funnel. So I'll do it that way. We'll try it.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy. Yeah, these are some of my medals. These are the ones from 2017 and 16 and 15. Mostly 17 and 16. But it was the case I could bring up here. I have a lot of loose metals downstairs. So. N150 and variegate. Yep. N150 need a little bit more powder. You ordered on April 16th from CE. Yeah, it should ship soon. And do you store your scales on or off, plugged in or not? It doesn't matter. Mine are probably usually not plugged in. So let's go. Right. 47. Got the phone here. Let's we gotta do the calibration. Oh, I gotta level the scale. We're not quite level, we're close. No, I just went too far. Oh no, this way. Yeah, this is why you don't want to move your scale once you have it set up. Come on. This way? No, see, I'm thinking backwards because I'm upside down here. Okay, I need to go, I need the bubble to go that way. So I need to lower this guy, which means I need to go left. This one needs to go right, this one needs to go left. There we go. Got it. Perfect. Okay, calibrate.
Adam, if N140 is the same as Varget,
N150. Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh, Timothy Clark asked about N140. Is
Oh,
that
did he?
different?
N140 is faster. If you're familiar with H4895, in order of speed, it's roughly H4895 is fastest, and then N140, and then Varget, and then N150 is slower. So generally, you'd use N140 with 155s, or a lighter bullet, and then you use N150 for the heavier stuff. So I guess you can replace either with Varget, depending on if you have a lighter or heavy bullet. I hear people use both with the 200s.
If Varget is so hard to get a hold of these days, why are you still using it?
I'm using N150.
Oh.
I couldn't get Varget, but Vitavori is pretty available. Okay, calibration came out a little bit slow. We'll see how it goes. I feel like because the calibration was low, it might overshoot, but let's give it a shot. 47. Pretty good. Okay, so I gotta do this for 100 rounds. I got a whiteboard in case anybody wants me to do any math. I have a black and a red marker.
Oh no, your viewers dropped down to none.
No. We're at the all-time high for today. So that one went a little bit fast up to the target. It didn't overshoot, but I can tell it's going a bit aggressive because the calibration flow rate that it measured was a bit low. Maybe I need to prime the tube a bit longer with this powder. If I calibrated again, it probably would have a higher flow rate and then would be a bit slower, but this is fine. And I don't care if it goes over by a couple kernels. Tomorrow's the long range practice, so we're shooting at 900 meters only, and we're going to be doing like wind reading and plotting and team practice sort of stuff. There's a couple people coming who are really excited to like sit down with me and plot and read the wind together, so we're going to try to do that. Actually, Laura, do you want to come and maybe record?
Maybe.
Because it would be a really good learning experience, I think.
I don't think you officially have a match director.
That's me. Okay, so it's 9.6, it's probably, no. Sometimes when it hits 9.6, it starts going again. And right now, the way it is, I need to be a little bit careful because the way it's programmed is when it goes back to 9.6, it just starts. Whereas the V3 doesn't do that. If the V3 hits the target and it drops back, it won't start running until it drops by 0.1. That way, if it hits a target and drops and then you go to reach for it, if it drops like one kernel below the target and starts running again, and then you pick up the cup, it might start to like spew out a couple of kernels because it detects that low weight and tries to go fast. So it has to be programmed that when it hits the target, it stops and it won't start again unless it's stable at a lower value. But this one's not like that. I need to fix that because it hits 9.6 and then it starts running really, really slow and I can't hear it because the motors are so quiet. And then if I touch the cup, it could drop some kernels in. The auto throw, it doesn't cut kernels, there's no way. It tries to push them out of the way. And with normal extruded powders, it does. Like Varget never has any problem. H4831, I think, is probably the biggest one that doesn't have any problems. But then when you get H50 BMG and 570, the kernels are so big that they tend to jam, and there's not really anything that you can do about that, which is part of the reason why we're going with a big tube in V4, because it just avoids that problem entirely. But this idea of having a volume of powder that you have to shear across the surface in order to separate the volume you're measuring from the rest of it, you have to like shear something. I don't think there's any way around the jamming with the big kernels. So what I usually tell people when they want to load the large kernels, if they don't have an auto trickler at all, then I say just get the trickler without the auto throw. And if they have the auto throw and they load different powders, then I say when you're using the big kernel powders, just disable it in the app so it doesn't try to run, but then every time the trickler starts, you just reach up and cycle it by hand. Because it doesn't really cost you any time. It's something you have to do, but it doesn't really cost you any time. Because you've still got a good powder measure right mounted to the scale, which has value even if it's not motorized. I assume you guys are all subscribed because that's how you know that I was here. But if anybody's watching this later, recorded, I think you have to subscribe and do a notification thing on YouTube in order to get an email if I go live again. I wasn't really sure if anybody would show up or how quickly it would be, but people join pretty fast, so they must be subscribed. Hours. Well, it's okay. 7:30. I don't know. I don't think so. We'll probably take a break here in a couple hours. Better elaborate. Well, I made a chronograph, the 2-box chrono. I've got it here. The objective of the chronograph I made was to be extremely precise. So, like for F class, all I care about is velocity spreads. I don't care about absolute velocity because I just know what it is, and I can shoot at long range to figure out what it is, and I can compare with other loads to figure out what it is. So what I really wanted was to be able to shoot in testing and know if I had accurate, like precise velocities, because all chronographs have random error, and it's much worse than people realize. So the 2-box chrono is 2 acoustic sensors like those in Jot Marker, spaced 15 feet apart, and the bullet passes over the 2 of them. And because the spacing is so large, it's very easy to measure precisely the time between them. And because it's measuring the shock wave, it's very reliable and it works in any wind condition and it doesn't require a lot of power. So it was a really nice compact system for extremely precise measurement for testing, where you don't have to worry about sometimes missing a shot or battery running out, things like that. So I made it in 2017, but it didn't sell very well, and we had to just stop making them because we need to focus on the trickler and the shot marker, which is a bit of a shame because I really like it and I use it all the time. But I don't know, I just can't handle so much. I had to cut it. Bullet seating force? No. I just I neck size my brass like with the 336 bushing, so it's not working the brass. So I only have like half a thou to 1 thou neck tension, anyways. So the force doesn't really matter, and I know the neck tension is going to be quite light, but still strong enough to hold the bullet, no problem. So I don't really see much value in trying to measure the seating force, especially with this load because it's compressed. Basically, it's powder crushing force. So. I'm not sure about primers because I'm down to like 500 BR4s, and they're from last year, so I'm not really sure. But I'm gonna need more soon. So I guess I'll find out. Oh, does shot marker work 22? No. Well, it works with any supersonic bullet. So if you're shooting a fast 22, it will. If it's subsonic, it won't.
At the target.
Yeah. So like I've tested it. Obviously for R&D, I want fast, cheap testing. So I use CCI Stinger, 1600 at the muzzle, and I have an old 22 hunting rifle. So I can just blast 22 rounds at it all day long, and it doesn't cost anything. And it works at like 20 feet, 30 feet, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're trying to shoot 22 accurately and you have subsonic bullets for competition, yeah, it won't work at all. No shockwave, no measurement. This is actually the first time I've loaded a significant amount of ammo with V4 since I made a lot of changes to the code. So I'm actually kind of impressed that it hasn't gone over a single time. Because I loaded with the prototype for maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the live stream last week, and it was good, but for the live stream I did a lot of changes to make it work with all kinds of different powders, because I expected you guys to ask me to put in some random powder and it would work perfectly, so I prepared for that. So I made a lot of improvements and got out to a really good state, and then it's just been here for a week, so I only loaded like 5 or 6 or whatever we did in the demo. But yeah, so this is actually like a kind of a first test of doing 100 rounds in a row with these settings, and so far I'm pretty happy. Do I own a 3D printer shop? I own tons of 3D printers. Upstairs is like a jet engine in that room. There's 12 printers in that room, and then we have 4 downstairs. There's 2 in the kitchen right now. One is
and 4 at the office too.
There's 4 at the office, yeah. The 2 in the kitchen are different. I've been trying out different printers because it helps the business, I guess, to have different kinds of printers, or maybe better ones or more expensive ones or bigger ones. So I have 2 different kinds in there that I've been experimenting with, and I have 3 more of one of them coming next week probably, and they're big. And then I'm going to have 4 of those to set up in the basement as well. So that'll bring us up to 27. Is that right, Laura? Because I think we were at 22, and then we got the belt printer, which is 23, and then the 4 workhorses.
We had to retire some maker gears though, so we have 4,
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 10 upstairs.
Right. Okay. So
we've
we have
got
2.
10 maker gears.
We have 2 dead ones.
Yeah, we've got 10
But they're
maker
fixable.
gears, 8 Pruses, the belt, the Taz, and the new ones you're getting.
Yeah, the maker
Oh
gears.
no, then there's another maker gear at the office. We have 11 maker gears.
Well, we have a total of 14 maker
You
gears.
can't count the broken ones.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the maker gears are like cannibals. Like when they start to die, I have to salvage each other for parts, and you end up with a couple that are just, my video that I'm seeing is not working. okay. I think we're up. Now it says excellent connection. So.
Yeah, if anyone's video is still blurry, make sure that your settings are still set to 1080 or 720, whatever your network can handle, because we're back to full streaming, I think.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, John. That was 4 years ago now. Yeah, the worlds were really interesting. That might have been the first time that I experienced being pulled in all directions while also trying to shoot competitively. Because I had a lot of people who wanted a trickler from various countries around the world, who this was their only opportunity to get one. So that was crazy. Like Laura had to ship a box like this big of parts twice, like rush shipment with UPS to Ottawa so that we could bring them. I think I went to the Australians hotel and spent like a whole night there just like giving out parts and cleaning me out, and then the next day was the South Africans and they all just bought everything I had. It was pretty nuts. But I really wanted to win. Like I always want to win, so I tried really hard, and I learned a lot. At that point I had shot in Ottawa at least twice before, maybe 3 times, so I had a decent sense of what it would be like, but it was a lot of pressure.
How'd you do in the Worlds?
I think I was 9. I think I was 9th. That was yeah, I wrote that in the blog. That was Wade Fillingame was there, and we were talking a lot while we were shooting, and he finished I think like 2 V's ahead of me or something like that. Like it was extremely close, and at the time my reloading process was to do everything, like every detail, and I was buried in spreadsheets trying to figure out, like I was basically trying to learn all the physics behind everything and how to do load development, and then he told me that he had like all his ammo, all his brass in a bucket, and he doesn't do anything to it. He doesn't neck turn, he doesn't clean anything, he just like loads it and shoots it. And then I shot with him a bunch of times and I saw that it shot perfectly fine, and that's what kind of opened my eyes to realize, like, you know, maybe we don't need to go crazy with the details, maybe it's more about the fundamentals, and that really did shape my perspective on reloading. I mean, you can't just wing it. You really have to understand a lot of what's going on, but you don't have to hyper-focus on specific mechanical details. Because the guns shoot, and they shoot well, even if you put, you know, even if you don't clean your brass, it's still gonna work well. So I learned a lot there. Kenny's bullets. I was shooting Kenny's bullets at the Worlds. I found them, they're very good ballistically, but I just couldn't get accurate groups with them. So I switched to, I can't remember if I went straight to the 215s then, but that's what I'm using now. The Berger 215 hybrids, and I haven't shot anything since. This is an excellent bullet. I don't think you need to worry about vibration isolation. I mean, like, well, this is a nice solid table, but I reload on a folding table like this one downstairs, and it's fine. As long as you don't touch the table, like if there's no airflow in the room and you're not touching the table, it's gonna be fine. Don't need to worry about like electrical grounding or whatever. I mean, excuse me, unless you have like really bad power at your house, and like I've never experienced that, but I've never seen anyone with any specific repeatable issue related to the scale not working, like in a certain situation. A lot of people have asked me if it's important, but no one has ever told me, hey, if I don't use this, my scale doesn't work right, and here's proof. So as of right now, I just say it doesn't matter. The scale seems to work really well. Yeah, that F-Class community channel, if you don't mind, I just wondering who you are, because you were at the Worlds? You don't have to say if you don't want to, I'm not trying to.
I'm curious if anyone who was at the Worlds 2017 is planning on going to South Africa for the Worlds.
Yeah, I'd like to go to South Africa. I mean, it's kind of like the thing that I've committed to doing no matter what. But I don't know. I mean, it's been delayed twice, so we'll see. This one.
I didn't do my hair. I don't have my makeup on. Can't be on screen.
You're in the photo on my website, I think, right?
The very back, yeah.
So if you go to my website, on the support page, there's a photo of my office with everyone who was there that day. I think that's everyone except I think Drew wasn't there that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're missing Drew, and then we're missing one person that we just hired. Otherwise, that's all of us.
And you were taking it.
Yeah.
And there's no pets there. We're a
Yeah.
dog-friendly office.
Usually, we have a one dog at a time policy because the last time we had two dogs at the same time, I had to go home. It was craziness. It couldn't work. So, one nice quiet dog is okay. Till the mailman comes. Oh, Kent's here. So Kent owns one of those. Kent has one of those dogs. So, yeah. You know what I'm talking about, Kent. And no, I didn't do my hair and makeup. I'm just naturally this way. Wind reading tips. Well, that's a discussion in itself. I don't know. I guess if I would say one thing about reading the wind, it's not about pretty much anything that the books say. It's not about the flags. It's not about any one thing. You don't really have to memorize angles and things like that. You have to be. You have to have a very sort of open mind and bring in a lot of different sources of information. So you've got flags, you've got mirage, you've got how the wind feels, you've got what other people are doing, what other people are saying, how other people are shooting. Basically, you're trying to absorb everything you can and then try to build up this understanding of what's really happening. And then when you're adjusting or when you're deciding what to do, you try to make the decision that you feel the most confident in. So if you think the wind picked up but you're not sure, and you don't just make a full adjustment, like you're always trying to maximize your score. So if you don't know what's going on and you absolutely have to shoot, then you should shoot like the average. But if you know for sure that it moved by this much, then you should make a full correction. So, but mainly it's about trying to absorb lots of information. Because I would say I probably get a good almost half of my information, in terms of making a decision, from other people. Just even their reactions to certain changes that happen, or how quickly people are shooting, or what they're saying, or where they're hitting on the target. Like, it all matters, and you try to understand what's really going on. It's more about small changes too. I mean, at the range we shoot at here, the wind is typically, at long range, it would be like 1 to 3 minutes, and it only changes by at most a minute in the 45 seconds we have between shots. So you're typically making 8 to quarter minute changes, and you're trying to go the right direction. So you just have this slight feeling that it's a bit stronger, and you're looking for all the different pieces of information to line up with that theory, that yes, it's a bit more, he went out, that mirage, maybe it's a bit stronger, it's definitely not weaker, so it's probably either the same or stronger, and that flag is just a little bit more fluttery, so I'm gonna add an 1/8. And that's how you keep getting Bs. It's like you're trying to perfectly predict these very, very small changes and go the right way, and you don't wanna go the wrong way. If you do go the wrong way, and it's a small change, you're still gonna get a 5, but you need to use that information to guide your next decision. And anytime you lose a point, you should definitely think about why. Like, how did that happen? What was different about my understanding? Did I just make a mistake? Or did I misunderstand something? Or do I need to reinterpret the wind differently? You always want to have like a model of like how to interpret what's going on. And then when you lose points and you don't know why, you need to reevaluate that model and think, okay, the thing that I thought was important is actually not working, so I need to back up and try to figure out what it is. You definitely don't want to fall in the trap of like, this flag is the important one, so you base all your decisions on that flag, and then it works for 3 shots, and then it doesn't work anymore, and you lose all the rest of the points. Like, you don't want to hyper-focus on any one thing.
Is there anything you can do to practice wind reading if you don't live in a windy place?
That's tough. Well, it's kind of the problem we have here, because we have a good long range that we can shoot matches at, but it's not like Ottawa. So, like, I get really good at shooting in these conditions, but when I go somewhere else, I know it's different, and I have to like mentally prepare for what's going to be completely different. And you have to like recalibrate yourself, because if you're used to making quarter-minute changes and then you go somewhere where the wind is switching by 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you realize you're not going to get 5s every shot. You've got to think now, my target is 2 minutes. Like, I'm not trying to hit a 1-minute circle. That's not possible. So my target is 2 minutes, and now I need to make big changes, and I need to try to center my group within that 2-minute circle now. That was something that really helped me when the wind is really strong, is realizing when you need to stop trying to micromanage these little adjustments and focus on just like getting it in the middle somewhere, so that you don't lose, like, you know, you don't want to be getting once or missing the target completely. Like, that's the important thing. So as far as if it's not windy, I don't know, you could get a very light flag and set one up, and then if there's any wind at all, you guess you got to shoot as far as you can. Use a bullet that's not very good in the wind, so that you can kind of create a windy situation for yourself. Maybe practice in that condition. Thoughts of joining the national team in the future? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who you are, but we have a team in New Brunswick. Myself, Gord, Tony, Ken, Kyle, Francis. There's a few of us. Harrison, but Harrison doesn't travel. And we have a style of shooting, like coaching, where the 2 of us coach together, and we practice a lot, and we kind of like that, our teamwork. So we go to Ottawa sort of as a group, and we like to compete that way.
And you guys won at Bisley, right?
Yeah, we went to Bisley, and we
team match.
We won the international team match there, which was pretty cool. As far as direction and speed, because it depends on what the direction is. Yeah, if it's a straight up crosswind, then of course the direction doesn't matter, and the speed is what matters. But if it's a head or a tailwind, then the speed doesn't matter, and the direction changes are critical. So if it's halfway between the two, I would say I agree. The most important thing is when the flags turn, and if you don't notice that they've turned, then it can really kill you. And it can be hard to notice, because if you're like where I shoot, the flags are always on the right side of the range. So I'm on the left and I'm looking across at the flags, and there's like 1, 2, 3 flags, but they're all at an angle to me relative to the wind. So when they change direction, you might look at it and think it looks the same, but it's actually turned by 20 degrees and you don't necessarily realize. So you have to always be thinking about that. Like, I've got this angled perspective on the flags, so I need to remember that, you know, this and this are a big difference, even though it doesn't look like a big difference from that angle. Yeah, and the speed really only matters for crosswinds, or if you're trying to read the mirage and you find the mirage useful, then you want to keep your eye on like how fast the mirage is moving. But I find it hard to gauge the speed of the mirage, and it's more about a feeling of like, how angry is it? Like sometimes it's just like a settled mirage, and then other times it's like, it's moving now. And then you know that it's a big difference. But you gotta be careful too, because mirage is only really at the target, unless you're using a spotting scope. So a big change in the mirage that doesn't correlate with what the flags are doing is probably not real.
I'm curious if anyone online plots.
I doubt it. Does anyone use a plotomatic? If anyone even knows what that is. They're popular in certain areas, but not so much in the States.
Do they ever do Bisley style in the States?
Yeah,
like
there's
just
full
for like
bore.
one matches or.
There's full bore shooting, it's just not as common.
Hmm.
I think it should be, but of course I'm biased. That's what I'm used to. But I really like pair firing because you're forced to wait. So you fire a shot and then you can't just shoot. Like you have to read the wind and fire a shot, and then you have to wait like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then when it's your turn again, things have changed. And in that time, you've spent 2 minutes thinking and looking at everything, trying to understand it. And then every single shot is a very important decision. Because it's not just like run a gun until the wind changes and then stop, because then you're spending 6 or 7 bullets in one condition. But you know, with full bore, you spend 1 bullet in one condition and you make a decision, and that decision matters. And then you have to wait, and then when it's your turn again, you have to shoot. You can't just sit around. You only get 30, 45 seconds, but really by the time you're ready to go, you can only really kind of delay for the right condition for about 20 seconds before your overtime. So I really enjoy that. I think it really helps, at least my approach to wind reading, where I'm trying to gather all this information. I like to have that time to focus and to think, and then every shot is like an important decision. And that's why I like shooting so much, is because it's just constant problem solving over and over and over again in a competitive setting. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm just wondering if anybody's read my blog. I don't have it online right now, but I'm going to put it back up. It was on my old website before we got a new website. But I posted some articles on plotting and how to build a plotomatic. And I think it is key to learning how to keep your adjustments organized so that you know where your group is. It's a way of having full information about what happened so that you can make a proper decision about what to do next. But actually this year and last year, we didn't really travel, and I've been just shooting here, and the wind has been like medium to light winds. And when it's tricky, I kind of enjoy not plotting because I find it a challenge, and I like to I'm plotting in my head. Like I'm not just guessing, but I'm trying to keep track of absolute values of wind adjustments in my head, and I dial everything. I tried holding off a little bit, and I found it's hard to do because I don't have much practice, but there are conditions where I found it sort of useful. Like when it was a tailwind and it was changing so fast, then it was just easier to kind of get my center and then hold off on either side. But those conditions I find are pretty rare. Most of the time I want to know, like, the wind is 1 3/4, and then if I can remember that, like when I see this and it looks like this, it's 1 3/4. And then if it gets stronger, I go to 2. And then, even if my shot is on the left or the right of my group, I'm not swayed by where my shot landed. I know that wind condition is 2. And a slightly stronger wind condition is 2 1/4. And then if it goes back to the first one, it's 1 3/4. And if it drops off a little bit, then maybe it's 1 or 1.5. So I'm always thinking numbers, like what is it right now, and then is it getting more, and I go up a number, and is it getting less, and I go down a number. So that's kind of what the plot's doing, where holding off, you're doing that in terms of rings, which is, it's visual, but you're not able to dial and then maintain that visual reference anymore. So I like to dial in terms of absolute numbers. And then, so this year I don't, I'm not plotting, I find it kind of fun to do that in my head, whereas with the plot, you spend a lot of time like writing and then looking at it, and right now I'm spending more time watching the flags and listening to other people, and then thinking about the absolute numbers as I work through the process. Could you give me a drink?
What do you want?
Same thing, please.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing videos on load development and statistics again, kind of like the way the blog was. The blog was a lot of work, and that's why I haven't written any articles in a long time. It's just, I'd spend a month just writing like one article, and it's very difficult to get these like points across in words in a way that I'm happy with. So I feel like with videos I might be forced a bit more to just like do it once and call it good. So I might try to do that again. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. This is what I got you.
Okay.
I think I'd have to agree that full bore shooters are better win raters, because remember when you went to Texas, how well Gord did?
Yeah, it's hard to judge based on that one match, but Gord was, so we went to Texas and we shot the TSRA, Texas State Rifle Association F-Class State Championship, I guess that was what it would be called, in 2019?
19.
Okay. So Gord and Ken and I went, and he ended up coming second, and he was plotting, and he had never shot single string before, like where you shoot by yourself. So he thought that was pretty fun. I was I don't know, 5th or 10th, or I don't remember what I was. I had a really bad first match. There was some E-target stuff, and I was being pulled a lot in different directions on the very first relay. So I just totally bombed that relay. And then after that, I did basically the same as Gord for the rest of the match. So it was a bit disappointing. But yeah, if you run shot markers at matches with a lot of people and you also want to shoot competitively, try not to be on the very first relay, because who knows what's going to happen. Reprogram the scale from V3 to V4, I don't think so. It does work differently. Right now, the way V3 works is the scale only outputs data constantly when you have a target set. So when you set a target, it starts sending continuously, and then when you cancel, it stops. which is different than the way Sartorius works. The Sartorius version sends constantly all the time, and the V4 version works more like that. The idea was maybe in the future it would be a bit easier to support different kinds of scales if the way the code worked was just always assuming a constant data stream. But for that reason, V4, you can't use the buttons on the scale to set and cancel a target like you can with V3. V4 is going to require the app. There's no way to use it without the app. So that was it was a decision I made, I guess. It could have gone either way. Okay, is that it for powder? I think that might be it for powder. No, I gotta load these ones too. Okay, I'm gonna seat these balls first. Oh, yeah, I'll do these ones.
Adam, you know that Intermaritime is supposed to be next weekend?
Yeah. There's a match that requires travel across province borders, and nobody knows if it's gonna happen.
Well, to a province that doesn't have access to their range.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not gonna happen in PEI, that's for sure. This is a Reading. I think it's the competition S. It says competition series. I don't know, I feel like it's an S, but I don't know for sure. I have to use Scotch tape to hold the micrometer because I'm too far up, so it doesn't have any friction.
You're saying with V4 you can only control it via Bluetooth?
Yeah. There'd be no way for Sartorius because there's no switches. Because the electronics are going to be inside, so it didn't really make sense to have two methods of using it. I think it's fairly safe to assume that people have or can get a cheap tablet or a phone or something.
I just thought it was useful for troubleshooting. If your Bluetooth isn't working, you can always check your programming is correct.
Not really. I guess you could take the Bluetooth module out and then try to use it with the buttons and see if at least that works. But generally, if Bluetooth connects, it's going to be fine. So it either connects or it doesn't. But with V4, you can't remove the Bluetooth module because it's soldered right to the board. So there's less value in that. Just hear that crunch every time, and I feel like, I don't know. I just can't help but feel I'm doing something wrong if it goes crunch. A seating shallow? No, this is the final seating depth, but I'm shooting tomorrow morning, so.
Are you not supposed to let them sit?
Yeah, I mean, there's a theory that you should, that it might cold weld the brass to the copper, and it might get sticky and it might shoot differently if it's been sitting for a month. I think it's possible. I don't know. I haven't proven one way or the other. I know it does get sticky, and I know you can feel the difference when you go to seat it. Like, it can pop almost when you go to seat it. I'm not sure if it shoots any differently. really sure what to talk about if no one's asking questions. I don't really have any prepared topics, so here we are.
What's the plan for tomorrow for your team practice?
I don't know, I guess it depends on who shows up.
Hopefully your team.
Well,
Did
yeah.
you pick your, like, did you announce your team last week?
The top 4 F-class know who they are. It was Harrison and me. Who was in there? Gord second.
And Andrew.
Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
Was he shooting FTR?
Yes.
Okay. So if he comes, then we actually have a team, so that'll be good. I guess what I'm looking forward to the most is wind reading with other people. Because it's one thing about shooting, like, when you're in competition, you're by yourself, and you can't really talk about what's going on, or other people don't really see what you see. And recording is very hard. Like the mirage, the flags, the decision making that goes on. It's kind of nice to be able to sort of share that and discuss with other people. So that's why I like coaching a team match so much, because you can, you're directing someone else based on what you're seeing, and you can talk about it. And then when Gordon and I coach together, that's how we learn the most, is we're both looking at the same thing, and we're both trying to make a decision together about what's going on. So you get 2 perspectives. It's not like you just make a guess and then you see what happens. You get 2 people trying to argue about what's really happening, and then whatever decision you make, you shoot and you see and you find out, and then you learn. So it's, I really like that. Problems with aftermarket parts, just like the design of my products is so, I don't know if complicated is the right word, but it's so intricate. Like there's all these details that take me time and thought process to sort out. Like imagine shot marker, right? Imagine if someone tried to make a third-party sensor that was metal. So all of a sudden there's these shot marker sensors you can buy that are metal, and people buy them because they're metal. But like, who knows if they work, right? Who knows if they have any of the research that went into what I put into the product. You can't just like make another version of a product without fully understanding everything that went into it. So that's just a general concern with aftermarket versions of parts for a really complicated product. Like the auto trickler has so many components that are all made to work together in a certain way, and it's not necessarily that easy to just change one thing without considering how it affects everything. So I've had a lot of customer issues that the root cause of them was modifications that were made. And no, Laura doesn't shoot. She doesn't like it.
I'm just a groupie. I like organizing the matches. I like running the matches. I like doing stuff like that. So I do that, and then Adam is able to shoot and relax and win everything.
Like in New Brunswick, right? It's not that many people. So there's the full bore section, and then there's the Royal New Brunswick Rifle Association, which is another group. And they both have an executive and a board and members and memberships and insurance and all the things that come along with having an organization like that. So there's like 2 organizations surrounding 10 or 15 people going shooting every week. And there's as many people involved in the organization as there is that actually go shoot. So there's a lot of meetings and things like that. So after 2 or 3 years of shooting, like I wasn't the chairman of the full bar section yet, but I'm the chairman now. And then I've been on the board for the RMBRA as well. Laura is the membership secretary. Like, it's very quick. When you like the sport and you get into it, you very quickly get involved with everything.
Because it's so small and they need so many volunteers. Like, if you are a volunteer and you want to stay involved and you do a good job, you're probably going to be doing it for at least 5 years.
Well, there's nobody else to replace you, so, you know. Yeah, before I started shooting the 215s, I heard, I don't know, rumors or whatever that they weren't good. And I'm not sure what the basis of that was, because they absolutely are accurate. There's a lot of people that I know using them, and they shoot amazing. They're very consistent, and they have great ballistics, so I really don't see a downside. I guess the only downside is that you have to throw out your chamber out pretty long. So once you go for the 215s, you can't really shoot anything else properly. So you have to kind of commit. But if you're willing to commit a barrel to it, they've just been so good in every barrel that we've tried. I think, like, my theory is the key is that they're like a conservative hybrid design. They're not trying to be fancy. Like newer VLD bullets or whatever, people say they're harder to tune. I think that's because there's a shorter bearing surface. These have a really nice long bearing surface, and I feel like that contributes to them being more accurate. My current best guess theory on what is accuracy is all about how straight the barrel is in the bore. So the more bearing surface you have, the more likely it is to stay straight as it's engraved. So the 215s, the 185 juggernauts, any old bullet that's a tangent shape that has a long bearing surface, I think will probably shoot more accurately. So if you can get a bullet with a nice long bearing surface that also has an excellent BC in the 308, that's the perfect bullet. I haven't tried other CCI primers. Trying to think. Is it the 450 or the one of them's a Magnum, right? Which one is the non-match version of the BR4? And I don't think I've tried it, but I have tried the non-match Federal primers, and I don't really think there's much difference between is it 210 and 210M? Did I get that right? Or is it 205? 205 and 205M. I have 20 rounds with Federal primers here, which I'm going to load in a minute. 450 is Magnum, okay. My Bernard action tends to misfire when I use BR4s with new brass, and I think it might be a headspace related issue, but I'm not really sure. And I've been getting like one misfire in 100 with this brass, which has been fired 3 or 4 times now, but it was full length sized last time as opposed to next size. So my headspace is only like 2 thou, but I'm still getting like a misfire once in a while. So I think my firing pin spring might be a little weak, but I'm not totally sold on that because I know other people have had the same issue, and I don't think it's as simple as just a weak firing pin spring. But when I use Federal primers, it always works 100% reliably, but I think the BR4s tend to give me better results. And they also have slightly higher velocity, so if my limit is case volume, then using the BR4 primer is free velocity. Now as far as the case volume tool, I haven't used it since last week. I need to do a big test, like I need to load 100 rounds of something, and then I need to go through like hundreds of rounds of brass, and I need to find the ones that are the smallest volume and the ones that are the biggest volume, and then do up a serious test and then go to the range and shoot. That's a lot of time and expense, so I need to overlap it with something else to make it worth an entire weekend. Not really sure when, hopefully soon, because I do want to figure that out. Okay, I'm gonna load these ones here. It's a light spring? Okay. So John, what can I buy? Can I just order something and try it for easily? So this right here is drift. See, it's 0.04. It's 0.06 a second ago, so it's 0.04, 0.06. So it's drifted in the time that the cup was off because it's not at 0. If I had left the cup on and turned the trickler off, then it would stay at 0 because the scale is correcting itself for drift. So it goes to 0, and if it wants to drift away from that, it will come back to 0. But because the cup was off, the scale is not doing any drift compensation, so it drifted a little bit, and now I put the cup on, and it's at 0.04. That's what, like, I got email about this today, I got email about this yesterday, warming up the scale. Like, all you're doing is preventing this drift. And by warming up the scale, you're saving yourself from having to press re-zero if you leave the cup off for 20 minutes when you see bullets. So, does it really matter? No, I'm just gonna hit the button, and we're good to go. Would you like one of my actions? I have one gun, one stock, one action, one barrel, and it keeps things simple. Maybe if the Bernard breaks, but I highly doubt it. Unless the spring is no good. I'll look for a stronger spring. I can shim the spring, so I'll think about that. Do you have a suggested shim amount? Like 50 thou or something would be a significant amount if I just get a washer that fits. That's kind of my approach, I guess. Like, I tend to just find something and then just like super focus on it. So I have other guns and I load for them, but they're very much like the 308 FTR takes priority. Like I shoot, like we have occasional PRS matches, which are just introduction PRS matches, not official or anything, and they're really fun, and I just try to get something together and have fun. But yeah, I can't really do two sports at the same time. Like my friend Gord does, he has an F-open gun, so he kind of built up FTR, but then he's also trying out F-open, and then he goes to the range and he does load development for a 284. And it just takes a lot of time, and you're sacrificing what you could be doing with the 308, so he's since sort of gone back to the 308 because it's hard for him to compete with me if his time is split. 0.2 inches, I assume. So that would be, that's pretty big. I'll look on McMaster for something that size. I assume I can just find like a stainless steel washer or something like that. Oh, 0.06. So 1/16 washer. Yeah, I had misfires like crazy with my Springfield. It was old and I'd never taken the bolt apart, and it was full of that grease that they gave it in the 40s. And yeah, misfires all the time. And then I cleaned it out and used regular oil, and it was perfectly fine. So I'll try that with the Bernard, but I don't think it's dirty, but I haven't taken it apart since last summer. So Maybe after I see these bullets, I'll go get it. That was pretty quick. Yeah, I'm curious now. I kind of want to take it apart and see what it's like. My triggers, I've never had to clean or anything. Like, it's been very good. I see other people have problems with their Bernard triggers just getting dirty and having to use lighter fluid, but I've just left it. I feel like if I touch it with anything, I'm probably going to make it worse. I've kind of learned with 3D printers that once you oil something, it's going to constantly just build up crud and you have to keep cleaning it, so it's better just to not touch it. You've got dead air, Laura.
Okay.
Why don't you talk?
Why don't you talk about your barrel? How many
About my
rounds
barrel.
do you have through your barrel?
I don't know, too many.
How many barrels have you purchased to replace this barrel?
Like 5. So my barrel, I got it, okay, so I started with the Savage stock barrel. And then I got a barrel made by someone in New Brunswick who made a barrel for my Savage. And then I decided to get a Bernard. And I built this gun that I'm using now with a Krieger barrel, which I'm using now. It's the exact same barrel, and that was 2016. So it's been the same barrel for 5 years. I have at least 5 other barrels by probably 3 different gunsmiths that are meant to replace this one if and when it ever dies, and it has never died. It shoots amazing, and I'm not going to stop using it until it dies. So I use it at the Worlds, I use it at Bisley, I use it pretty much everywhere. There's been maybe 1 year, or like 1 season I used a different barrel, but for the most part I keep coming back to this one. I would say 11,000 rounds, something like that. It was definitely over 10, because I think I had 9,000 at Bisley, and that was 2 years ago. So I'm gonna guess 11,000.
So you guys shoot like around minimum 150 every weekend?
Our round count for the year is like 1,200 in competition, and then I used to shoot roughly equal number in testing, but now less. So I probably do about 1,500 a year. Of course, that includes the nationals, which were canceled. 04. Oh no. That one's gonna go 1 foot per second faster than all the others. Does the audio really suck?
Sorry, Melinda, he wasn't talking very much.
Does she mean our microphone or my voice? Changes from last week other than the lights. Well, let me think, what happened last week? We talked about ordering material. So the big thing was to make a commitment on getting a batch of material in and how many we're gonna do for the betas. So we kind of have a plan in motion now. I need to order parts, I need to order pulleys and things like that. Changes, not really.
You don't really want to change too much. We kind of are anxious to get producing.
Like I haven't worked on the hopper, which is a project. I still need to do that. But see, when it's just 3D printing, I can leave it till later. It's the finalizing like the core stuff. I need to sort out a bubble level. I need a bubble level, I'm pretty sure, that has a tilt built into it. So I'm gonna 3D print a mount for a bubble. But I need to find a source for a very small, cheap bubble level I can get in bulk. That's like the right size and shape that I can build a mount around. The logo is going to move up, so I did ask my supplier about these windows to. Oh, I'm running out of powder. You hear that? It's not letting me get away with not putting powder in quick. So the back's actually still almost full, but must have a slope internally, so even though it looks like it's full, it's tilted down, but the hopper was empty, so we're good now. He's the goat? I don't know what that means, John. But I'll tell him you said that. Or, wait, are you talking... I'm not sure if you're talking about the Gord that I shoot with or Gordon Ogg, who's a different person. He's from Ottawa.
Greatest of all time?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it must be Gord Ogg.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone said that about Gord.
Sorry, Gord, New Brunswick.
One more.
Gord Ogg, though, is a very nice gentleman.
Yes.
And amazing shooter. He got into this, I don't know if it was like the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame or something last year or the year before, I think, for shooting.
Really?
It might have been a shooting Hall of Fame, I'm not sure.
He came here to New Brunswick when we had the Easterns here.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big trip.
Twice.
Twice. He only came once, didn't he?
I thought he came the second time, too.
I don't remember.
Maybe not.
Okay. Seating time.
Aside from the auto trickler, what's your favorite piece of reloading gear?
Probably my trimmer. Well, I need to think about that. I said that because that's everyone's favorite piece of reloading gear. It's the Giro trimmer. But I actually don't trim my brass that much, so I only use it like every 3 years. So it's hard for me to say it's my favorite. Let me think. I don't know. Maybe the this press. No matter what I do, this press is the thing that does it, so.
Do you do any training or practicing in winter when you can't get to the range?
Not really. Are you thinking about the wind sim? Trying to get me to talk about the wind sim?
No, not at all. No, not bad.
Sometimes we shoot in the winter, and it can be cold, but we shoot from a building, so it's not too bad, just for load development. Gord shoots in the winter. He goes like almost every week in the snow. But yeah, I guess like I'm so my time is so stretched because of the business, so I kind of like having the break, you know, when I don't have to. I can kind of get out of the mindset of competition and just focus on work, but then I really want to shoot when summer comes around. So now, every week it's like I take it really seriously because this is like the one really fun thing that I do. So I kind of like not having to shoot every single week every year because it would sort of lose its value. I wouldn't be able to focus as much. For my scope, I use a Delta Striker, which is an amazing scope, which is not very popular in the States, I guess, but there's a company local here that imported them a couple of years ago, and they are an amazing scope. I know someone who said he has multiple March scopes and he likes the Delta more.
What magnification?
50. I'll go get it. No, I don't want to take it off my rail actually. I could bring the whole gun.
Well, maybe another night we'll do a show and tell. I don't know what that powder is, Lever Evolution, so I'm not sure what makes it unique. Is there something different about that powder compared to most others? What am I doing to prep brass? Nothing. So let's see. You mean between, okay, so we're talking about between firings, next size. That's it. 336 bushing. And then if I'm gonna have to open another box. So I take fire brass, take the primer out, and use a 336 bushing to size the neck. And then I have an expander mandrel that does 3075, which I'll use sometimes, but I don't know, I'm inconsistent about that. It doesn't really matter. 336 bushing with these Lapua brass will be about 1 thou neck tension, and if you expand, I'm not even sure I'm changing anything. And then after 3 or 4 firings of neck sizing only, they start to get tight. So I use a Reading full length die with the same bushing, and then I have not this one. This is a standard shell holder, but Reading makes shell holders that have slightly different thicknesses here, so you can use those with the full length die. So only push the shoulder like 2 thou, and that's pretty much it. I used to clean the primer pockets, but it's just pointless. And as far as annealing goes, I annealed brass with 2 torches set up like this once, and I'm pretty sure I ruined the brass because it shot like crap, and it was a disaster. So I'm never annealing again until there's some reason to, because like I've had brass that you shoot 20 times and it shoots just fine. So I don't really see the point in annealing. How old is your brass? Like how many times fired?
This stuff, 4 maybe, I think. Because I think think I shot it 3 times and then full length size, and then this would be the first time after full length sizing because I haven't shot it yet.
When do you know it's bad?
I mean, I've never really reached a limit. Like, I guess the necks will split eventually, but I've never had that issue because, like, this is kind of my 3rd major lot of brass. Like, I had 1,000 or 1,200 pieces of brass that I used with my Savage, and then when I got the Bernard, I got a new set of brass, and then this is actually my 4th because I got a new set for the Worlds for the year that the Worlds were coming up. So I got like 800 brass that I made sure was once fired for the Worlds. And then when I was going to go to Bisley, I just got all new brass again. So, and every time I get a new barrel that I need to try out, like, because at one point I switched for like a year. So I got new brass for that. But then when I went back to the old barrel, I just started shooting that brass in the old barrel. And the old barrel has a slightly bigger chamber, so it just fire formed to that barrel. So basically, I tend to find excuses to buy new brass, and then I don't need to fire it 20 times. So generally 6 or 7 times is the most I've really fired brass, like a large amount of brass consistently. It helps to have a lot of it. If you only have like 200 and you're trying to use that over and over and over, I can see how you run into problems. So if you're gonna buy brass, you should get like 1,000 and then just treat them all the same. And then by the time you get through like 1,000, it's almost a year anyway, so it's only been 1 firing. Okay, so I'm gonna go get my bolts because I want to take it apart. Hopefully I can bring all the tools I remember. Laura, you want to entertain the crowd while I'm gone?
No, thank you.
Okay, so 2-minute break. I'm just going to bring everything. Okay, I need to get rid of this because I don't want to knock it over.
Do you want to put it back in your bag?
No, I'll put it on the table. my shooting bag here with all my tools. Okay. Here she is. Still have this masking tape. Adam Old Barrel. Actually, this might be bad luck to take this off now. It's been 2 years or so since masking tape's been on here. 3327. I don't know what that means. Put that right there. Okay. I have a cool cheek piece. Oh, I gotta get my bag out of the way. This is a adjustable cheek piece, but then has a magnetic thing too, so I can take the bolt out, which is super handy. So I can, I don't know what to do with this thing. You can go there. Point it right at Laura, how's that?
You know I don't like that.
Okay, it'll stay here. I'll just work right here. So I just need to take this off. Shit, sorry. Got it. The way these Bernard bolts work, there's a little ball here. So this guy comes out. Make sure not to lose it. And I've got the spring. Oh, looks okay. Little tiny bit of grease, like nothing really. No, I don't know. Looks good to me. So to shim this, I'm not really sure how. I guess this whole thing drops down. That's probably not a good idea. Yeah, I'm not really sure how this works. I don't know, because even if I had a washer, there's a rod straight through it, so I don't even know where I'd put a washer. Maybe a lock ring or something, because we can go around it. But I'm not sure how this moves. I assume I need to hold the bottom and then grab this thing and pull it down. I don't know. If anyone knows, you can tell me. I don't know. I'll put it back together loosely. I don't really know what to do with it. So this is the Delta scope. That actually feels a little scratchy. Just a little. I usually put it at 100. Yeah, see, it's much easier to tighten than it is to untighten. So maybe it was stuck or something. It's been a while, so I could explain it. Yeah, this scope is great. So I used a Citron before, and functionally for F-class, the Citrons is great as well. But the glass just wasn't quite as nice. It was a bit harder to read the Mirage. So I find with this, like, I have a really nice big picture, and it's very clear and very bright. And then I have, actually, Laura, you want to do a close up? Because I kind of want to show these stickers I have.
Mm-hmm. Made this super tight in here.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, this is the scope. So it's got 10 to 50, and there's a zoom knob, like a handle built right in, which is super handy for me because I zoom in and out all the time. I like to shoot at 50 pretty much every shot, and then I'll zoom out to 30 or so to read the Mirage, so I'm constantly in and out all the time. And then, so on the Citron, I built a 3D printed handle that like clamped around it, but then this one has it built into the design, which is really nice. You can remove it too if you want, it just unscrews. And then it has an illuminated dot reticle with the adjustment here, but I don't use it. And then for my turrets, I have stickers that I custom make. So the elevation are just straightforward. And then, but for the windage, I use, see, this is one right, and then that's one left. So it goes around 5, 4, 5. So I'm always in like the, 2, 2.5, and then when I go left, it's 2, 2.5. So you never go the wrong way and get confused when you're on the other side. To reset the turrets, there's just like a slot here, so you can just put something in there and turn it, and then loosen this, and then the turret will adjust so you can re-zero. I glued a bubble level on here, which is really important for long range. It's pretty straightforward scope. It's a really nice picture, which is the main reason I like it. And it's a bit heavy, so you have to be prepared if you need to stay within a weight limit. The scope is a heavy scope, the action is heavy, so my stock has to be pretty light. It's cherry, and I like my stock. What else? I don't know. I'd actually designed this stock because I was using a Savage before, and I liked a few things about the Savage. I liked the grip, and I liked the angle for FTR with a rear bag so that you can slide for elevation adjustment. So I never really liked the pistol grip style of F-class stocks that everyone seems to have. So I really didn't want to like buy one of those stocks and have to get used to it. So I designed this stock, like I did the CAD model based on, I took the photo of the Savage and then I kind of traced the outline of it, and then I made some changes, and then I did a CAD 3D model based on what I wanted. So this angle, this grip, with the Savage there was a sharp angle right here, like a point sticking out, and it would always hit my hand because I put my hand in front right here on the bag, and it would like smash my finger. So I made this nice and smooth. And then the grip was sort of hand sanded like this after rough cut. And then also I was shooting with someone at the time who shot bench rest, and I thought if I'm gonna design a stock, I might as well have it work with a bench rest. So we made this flat and a bit more square, but I pretty much only use it for FTR, so I have the rail in here.
Your bipod?
The bipod is a Duplin. bipod. So I actually bought this secondhand at the Southwest Nationals from somebody in the parking lot. I was complaining about my bipod, and he's like, well, I got one here, $350. I said, okay, might as well. And it is really nice. The key is that you can adjust up and down like this. You don't have to like loosen and retighten anything or adjust the legs. So I'm always doing this. Like I'll be in my position shooting, and then after a couple shots, the gun settles, and all of a sudden I'm a bit low, and I can pull it. Like I can pull the gun back, and it will ride on the bag, and it will point up higher. But if I want to keep my body in the same position, and I want to keep that same pressure in my shoulder, then I'll just reach up and turn this. So usually a couple times a match, I have to kind of turn this as the gun sort of settles into the position, without, because I never want to feel like I'm straining my body, pushing it towards the gun. So I really like having this easy adjustment that doesn't really affect the tilt level that much. And then for the canting of it, this knob, the idea is that you tighten that, but I just leave it permanently tightened all the time, and I can just grab the gun and twist it to get it into the angle I need it to be. So.
And how's the weight of that bipod?
I'm not sure what it weighs. I think 450 or 500 grams, something like that. It's lighter than the Dolphin V2 that I was using before. I had the Dolphin bipod, and I modified the feet to be plastic, and I modified some other things to remove some weight. This one's lighter than that, even after the modifications, and it's stock the way it was. This is within the weight limit, but it's really, really close. 30-inch barrel, and I have a sunshade that I use if the gun's not going to be weighed. But if I take the sunshade off, like it is now, it's within the weight limit. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I only have one gun. It's this one, and I like it. I mean, I have other guns, but not for a competition. So I don't have to worry about bouncing between different things, splitting my time. I just focus all my energy on developing my one load for my one bullet, and I only have to change something if I have to. Alrighty. I don't know.
You're done reloading?
I'm done. I feel like we might wrap up unless someone has some questions. Let me put the gun down. Oh, I can show you the 2-box chrono because I've got that here. I'm not sure if anyone here was asking about this, is still here, but this is the 2-box chrono. So you have just a simple, does it turn on? Yep.
The remote works too. I checked it.
So the idea is it's the most basic the most basic solution for perfect 1 foot per second velocity measurement you can get. So you've got a front with a LCD screen that just tells you the velocity. You've got an acoustic sensor that measures the shock wave of the bullet. You've got another one over here, and then you've got a 15-foot cable. And you spread them, you put one down in front of the gun, you put the other one like 15 foot in front of that. And then you need to line it up to the target if you care about absolute velocity. But if you don't care about absolute velocity, then you don't have to worry about that. You just kind of roughly line them up, and then you'll get like a number that might not be exactly the right number, but when you shoot shot to shot to shot, it'll vary by exactly what your bullet's doing, so there's no random error. Like with most other chronographs, you've got to expect up to 10 feet per second of, randomness. So with this, we get that down to like 1 foot per second. There's a remote because it can store velocities, and then you can go back through, and you can also save it and then turn it off, turn it back on. Anyway, I'm not making this anymore, so it's not even a product really. We've run out, and I only have like a few left, and I use it myself all the time. Hopefully someday I can revive it, but until then, yeah. The few people who actually have one of these and appreciate it are lucky, in my opinion. If I competed against F-Class John, I've never met him in person, but I've talked to him on the phone a few times, and I don't know Eric Cotabato.
You haven't done a ton of shooting in the States.
No, I shot in Texas once. I did the Southwest Nationals once. I've never shot the U.S. Nationals.
You've done a little bit in New England.
In Maine, yeah. Because I've traveled a couple of times to some clubs who got shot marker early on. One in Tennessee, one in Maine, one in New Hampshire, and then Texas. So I traveled a little bit, but I don't really like to travel that much. It's a lot of work. So, but I do like to shoot matches, like the big matches. Like the Southwest Nationals was a real experience. So I'd like to shoot the USF Class Nationals at some point. I was there in Lodi in 2015 and 16, I think. But I was more on the organizational side. I wasn't shooting.
And then you've gone to Bisley a couple times. And then in 2019, you shot at the Euros too.
Yeah, I did the Euros, which was great. So we went to Bisley in 2019 as Canada, but then we wanted to go back. So Laura, I think just Laura and I went back.
You were the only Canadian there.
Was I?
I think you were the only Canadian competing
That's
in
right.
the Euros.
Yeah, so it's the European F-Class championship, I guess. And I was 11th, which was disappointing because the top 10 got a really nice trophy, and I didn't get a trophy. There was 100, I think, in FTR. So I was 11th out of 100, which is pretty nice. Yeah, that was tough. I lost 2 points on the last 2 shots of the whole weekend. So I was just feeling that trophy go away because I knew I was very close to the top 10. Okay, I don't know, I guess I might as well wrap up. It's not 5 hours tonight, it's more like 2. But I got my ammo loaded and I feel like this was sort of fun. The number of viewers has actually been pretty consistent throughout, so that's good. That means I'm not boring even though I'm just sitting here loading. So I'll probably do this again, maybe next Friday. We'll see.
Oh yeah, Burbank too.
Yeah.
California was fun.
Right. So that was because we went to SHOT Show. That's right. So we went to SHOT Show in Vegas for basically marketing. Turned out to be pretty much a total waste of time as far as SHOT Show goes. But then we went to Burbank, which was more fun than SHOT Show.
Way more fun.
Yeah. Did some shooting and met a lot of people. Yeah, I really like meeting people who like my products. It's really cool to talk about all this stuff. Yeah.
Burbank is a nice range too.
Yeah.
With their different, because it's one shooting point, isn't it? And then you shoot different ways.
Remember,
isn't the 300 kind of off to the right?
I think so. Yeah, I remember that you have to drive up into the mountains in the middle of nowhere, and then when you get there, you're like, oh, we're here. This is a nice range. But on the way there, it's like, really? This is a weird place to go. Greg asked what beer we're drinking.
See, I knew someone was going to ask, so I brought the can in, because this is a local craft beer. Local craft beer.
For Fredericton?
Are you made in Fredericton? Yes. Made in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Picaroons, very popular brand.
Okay.
And then Dooryard is their summer beer. They do a winter warmer in wintertime, but their summer one is Dooryard.
Maybe we should close out with a shot of voodoo. He's right by the door staring in.
He just wants his dinner.
He looks very sad.
I'd say thanks to everyone who came out, and hopefully we can do it again. We're thinking about doing some different types of sessions almost, not just Adam sitting reloading and talking about whatever pops in his head.
I mentioned that I was thinking about doing more stats and load development videos.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm considering about doing them as a stream instead of a video, just because it takes a lot of time to plan a video and write a script and then shoot it again and again and again and then edit it. But a stream, I'm kind of forced to just say whatever comes in my head and I can't change it. So, but it takes less time because I can just spend an evening on something instead of a whole day. So we'll see.
If anyone has any topics that they are interested in hearing for a live stream, stats related or more demos, any questions about running matches on Shot Marker?
There's some really key concepts with load development that I just think like, nobody really understands, and I need to kind of explain it, you know, in a certain way. So I need to think about how to do that effectively. And so I think it'll be useful. I tried with my blog, but I don't know. The blog was a lot of work. So I think maybe videos will be better. We'll see. Okay, anyway, so thanks for coming.
Good shooting this weekend, everybody.
Okay, bye.